iPhone 7 Teardown. Also, a spidery mess of button cables. They're thin and fragile and tricky to remove intact, but they also snuggle up to a lot of waterproofed components. So hopefully this dangly assembly you see here won't be coming out all that often. Quad LED True Tone Flash, that's 50% brighter than the iPhone 6s. We also find a new model number, A1779, stamped on the rear case. The iPhone 7 shares exact dimensions, 138.3mm x 67.1mm x 7.1mm, with its predecessor, the iPhone 6s, but has dropped a little weight, coming in at 138 grams compared to the 143 grams of the iPhone 6s. Also of note, the iPhone 7 does a much better job at disguising those unsightly antenna lines, but not the camera bump. It looks like the mini optical mountain is here to stay. In case you haven't heard, matte black is the new black. But if you're into something else, you'll still find the iPhone 7 in gold, rose gold, jet black, or silver. Peter Piper picked a pair of pesky proprietary Pentalobes. This iPhone 7 opens just like a storybook, along the side instead of at the top, and with no torn or tight cables. It looks like this story is going to have a fairy tale ending, but this story is far from over, and before we jump to conclusions, we're going to take this phone cover to cover. Starting with the battery, after briefly fighting through some sticky adhesives to open the case, we're faced with another set of repair obstacles, teeny tiny tri-point screws securing the cable bracket, just like in the 7's big brother, the 7 Plus. With the front panel and strings of sticky glue out of the way, we whip out our trusty spudger and disconnect the battery. Next, it's time to set our spudger to the task of popping off display connectors. The iPhone 7 camera boasts a larger f1.8 aperture, new 6-element lens and 12MP sensor, 4 LEDs, and a flicker sensor that can sense flickering light and compensate for it in your photos and videos. This camera is ready for paparazzi inside and out. X-ray images prove this camera looks just as good in a close-up, with the new camera out of the way. We work our way deeper into the 7 Teardown update. According to Apple, this plastic component is a barometric vent, with the added ingress protection afforded by the watertight seal. The iPhone uses this baffle to equalize the internal and atmospheric pressures in order to have an accurate altimeter. With the path cleared, we use our handy spudger to release the adhesive from beneath the battery. We wind up and peel out the 3 battery pull tabs. Actually, it's a relatively benign lithium-ion battery. This 3.8 volts, 1960 mAh battery is rated for a capacity of 7.45 watt-hours, a notable increase from the 6.55 watt-hours battery in last year's model. Apple claims that this upgraded cell will provide up to 14 hours of 3G talk time, 14 hours of Wi-Fi internet browsing, and 10 days of standby. The iPhone 7 speaker ships with a leash stick-on Wi-Fi diversity antenna that connects to the logic board. Waterproofing alert. The speaker's output duct fits over a rubber speaker grill gasket for an added layer of ingress protection. This seems less like a SIM eject hole and more like a Rube Goldberg machine. The SIM eject tool pushes on a plastic pin, that pushes a metal pin, which in turn ejects the SIM tray. But really it's just one more defense against the inevitable toilet tumble. And for extra credit, Apple added a rubber gasket around the SIM tray, too. But not before we do a quick side-by-side comparison with the iPhone 7 Plus logic board. The standard 7 and 7 Plus logic boards are surprisingly similar, despite the noticeable difference in housing size. If you look closely, you'll see minor differences in connector sizes and locations, post holes, and screw locations. Apple A10 Fusion APL1W24 SoC plus Samsung 2GB LPDDR4 RAM, as denoted by the markings K3RG1G10CMYGCH SK Hynix H23QEG8VG2ACS 32GB Flash Murata 339S00199 Wi-Fi, Bluetooth module NXP67V04 NFC. Controller Dialog 338S00225 Power Management ICE Qualcomm PMG9645 Power Management at Qualcomm WTR4905 Multi-Mode LTE Transceiver Apple Cirrus Logic 338S00105 Audio Codec Cirrus Logic 338S00220 Audio Amplifier X2 Lattice Semiconductor ICE 5LP4 Skiworks 13702-20 Diversity Receive Modular Skiworks 13703-21 Diversity Receive Modular Skiworks 77363-1 of camera.We. Prying up the light adhesive went well, but our first tug was in vain. There are some extra screws in this port. It seems like Apple has taken our warning to heart. Without a headphone jack to bear the burden of audio connections, this port will get a lot more wear, and it's been well reinforced. Other denizens of the lightning cable, aka the everything cable, an antenna, 2 microphones, 2 speaker grill plugs, and oh yeah, the lightning port. Also, and the button finally comes off. With 2 tiny gaskets. Apple is serious about this waterproofing business. After some peeling, we free the earpiece speaker and an all-new 7MP FaceTime HD camera with deep trench isolation and auto-image stabilization.